Colonization. Ugh. This hasn't been open in a while. The fussier the smell, the better the game. That's what I always say. What I love about colonization is all the extra material you get. You get these cards, which are a crib sheet for all the units. You get quite a hefty manual. Personally, I love history, so I always enjoyed reading this on all the extra backgrounds on the tribes and the bios of the founding fathers. This was right up my street. I read through these so many times as a kid. And the game is, of course, on 3.5-inch floppies. When the game first came out, I actually thought this was a sequel to Civilization. That's until Civilization 2 came out. The game, as it says on the box, is a colonization of the Americas by the European powers. You first need to pick a country that you want to represent, each with their own abilities that favors a certain strategy. I never really picked the French or Spanish. My logic is that the French want to work with the indigenous Indians, but the Spanish get a bonus when attacking the Indians. If there's no Indians, then these two abilities become pointless. The Dutch are really good, as you get stable trading prices in Europe, and you also get a merchantman at the beginning of the game, which has 4 cargo spaces, which is great for getting goods back to Europe. For me, if I don't choose the Dutch, leaves the English. There's no Portuguese colonial power in this game for some reason. Not sure what their special ability would be. The special ability of the English is that they only need 2/3 the amount of crosses to generate a new colonist in Europe. Crosses are the unit in which the game generates new colonists. So my strategy in this game is to get as many colonies as quickly as possible. The more colonies you have, the more resources you get. The more resources you get, the more gold you can get. This gold in turn, you can buy more colonists and create more colonies. Essentially a big positive feedback system. The game starts in 1492, the year that Columbus landed in the Americas. Similar to Civilization, where you start with a settler, in this game, you start with a colonist to build a nation. I always like to start in the Americas, rather than a custom world, as you've got a good idea of what the whole map looks like before you start. A bit lazy, I know, but that's how I roll. I'm going to explore the local area for locations to build new colonies. And we can see some Aztec cities. This will be very important later on, as the Aztecs are very powerful and very wealthy. Let's build a third colony called Roanoke. In a new colony, always prioritize food and promote growth to create new colonists. Okay, I'm going to head back to England to get some more colonists to reinforce my colonies that I already have. So the Liberty Bells that you generate in your colonies let you gain Founding Fathers to join your Continental Congress. I always found the Founding Fathers a bit like Wonders of the World in Civilization, as they give you added productivity, except every country can get them, unlike Wonders of the World, which are limited to just one. Does that make sense? I normally focus on the trade Founding Fathers, as I want to build custom houses as soon as possible. I'll tell you why in a bit. Okay, now we're in the Port of London. What we'll do is fill the ship up full of colonists and head back. Okay, drop these guys off. It's now time to head into a colony with the ship. What we'll need to do is load up the ship with as much gear as possible. Most of the time we'll have to visit several colonies, then heading back to Europe with your cargo to sell it. This can be a very tedious process at the beginning of the game until you build custom houses. Scouts are great for exploring and visiting local villages. The local villagers will often give you detail on the local area or money. The Indians aren't your enemy in this game. However, as your colonies expand, there will be conflict with them. Discovery of the Pacific Ocean. I guess that's a big deal. Mind you, I only moved one space to the left. Meeting the Aztecs. I love that they get their own graphic picture. Also, you'll recognize the Aztec music from Civilization. The two most advanced tribes are the Aztecs and the Inca. After a few years in the Americas, you'll eventually run into the other European powers. Like the Indians, I try to avoid open conflict with them. The other Europeans are similar to the Indians. They may be your competitors, but not your enemies. The game, certainly at the beginning, is an economic battle, not a military one. Once you've established several colonies, you may want to start thinking about improving the local land and connecting the colonies together with roads. Also, as the colonies have grown, you'll need to assign colonists to be lumberjacks and carpenters to start constructing buildings in your colonies. My priorities are lumber mills to build things faster, and docks to bring in more food to fuel more growth. Also at this point, it might be advisable to buy a galleon, which holds 6 slots of cargo. This will allow you to transport more cargo and earn more money. What I hate, as soon as you start getting self-sufficient and established, the crown starts taxing you. Go away. I suppose this encourages you to declare independence. This is where the whole thing with the crown starts to get a bit fraught. However, this loss of income from tax can be offset to a certain degree by visiting all the local villages. Look how much money you get here from speaking to the leader of this Inca city. He's just chucking money away. If you're lucky, one of your scouts can find a huge treasure by searching one of the coin icons. Cibola being one of the 7 cities of gold. With all this gold, you can really start ramping up the power of your army by buying more units like artillery. Just keep in mind, every time you buy one, it becomes 100 gold more expensive the next time. This is so annoying. The sooner you can build these in your colonies, the better. The Crown are proper rip-off merchants in this game. Bringing all these army units to the Americas will alarm the indigenous tribes and inevitably leads to conflict and a raid on one of your colonies. Why is this couple just standing there? Are they taking a selfie in front of the site of a massacre? Come on! You can also attack the Indians and destroy their villages. I know, a bit controversial, but this did happen during the colonial period. But if you go down this route, the Aztec and Inca cities will give you a great deal of gold. This can quickly propel you in your development of a new nation. Look how much gold you get from this Inca city. This gold can be used to buy more tools and create a larger network of roads to quickly move around supplies and your army. The downside is all this development leads to further conflict with the Indians, and they sometimes ambush your troops. When they do this, they can capture the horses, which make them even more powerful. Try to avoid this situation. It will plague you for the rest of the game. The use of colonists will now become more sophisticated, and you really need to focus on the specialities. Make sure, for example, you're using lumberjacks to harvest wood, fishermen to catch fish, and here's a great example. Look how much food this farmer's creating on this plowed tile. You'll eventually have a number of new buildings in your colonies. I always try to build custom houses as soon as possible, and this is why I focus on the trade founding fathers. This means you don't need to send a ship to this colony anymore and load it full of cargo to ship back to Europe to sell. It's all taken care of now. I always found this a very tedious part of the game. With all this sorted, you can really focus on improving your old colonies and, if you want, create new colonies. So what we'll do is unload this galleon, and once you're really established like this and you're getting a new colony ready, I like to get a pioneer, a farmer, and an artillery unit. Elder statesmen become more and more important as they generate a lot of Liberty Bells, and you'll need this to generate interest in your colonies to declare independence. Eventually, it's nice to have 3 elder statesmen in your colonies to start creating super cities. What really helps with Liberty Bell production is the building of the printing press and the newspaper. Keep on track with this and you should be well underway for declaring independence. However, I've broken one of my golden rules and gotten bogged down with a war with France. Avoid fighting the other colonial powers. This has allowed the Dutch to create a huge force and then station them right outside of my colonies while I'm trying to take Quebec. This war with France has absolutely drained the treasury. I'm broke. Okay, some reinforcements have arrived at Quebec, shortly followed by some more reinforcements. This is costing a fortune. Okay, finally, Quebec has been captured. Great colony. Lots of Liberty Bells being produced. Will the French want to make peace? Yes, excellent. Okay, let's get back on track. Now we are finally ready to declare independence from England. So, if we look over the colonies, we can see they're very fortified and linked together with roads to support each other during a war. So, we can also look at the strength of the expeditionary force that we need to defeat when we declare independence. It's grown a bit from the beginning, that's fine, and rebel sentiment is 81%. We only need 50%. Let's compare to our army. Can we take them? Boston looks a bit weak. If the Tories go there, it will fall immediately. We can just recapture, can't we? Let's declare independence. Oh, what? The Royal Expeditionary Force lands right beside Boston. Do we have a spy in our midst? What will make things easier? As soon as we get 2,000 Liberty Bells, Spain will join the war. And this is why elder statesmen are still important in this game. As expected, more of the King's troops have landed, and this will become the center of the War of Independence. Barbados has fallen to the Tories. I'm not surprised, they were totally outnumbered. Let's activate the troops from nearby Plymouth and Jamestown and start preparing to retake Barbados. Enemy lands at Boston. Well, this is going to be brief. Spain joins the war. And they've landed in the perfect place. Excellent. Thank you, Spain! What is this cavalry doing? I hate this go glitch. What a waste of a move. Let's take advantage of these Spanish troops and start attacking the Tories. Unsurprisingly, we have lost Boston. They didn't really put up much of a fight. The Tories just knocked on the door. At least we've received more Spanish troops in Jamestown. Our counterattack is going well, and we've recaptured Barbados. The King's forces have landed in Providence. A bit annoying, we don't have a lot of spare units over there to support them. Spanish forces land in Plymouth. That's good luck, that's a result. So we can support Providence. At the same time, we need to mass some troops outside Boston and retake that colony. Right. Move troops towards Providence and engage the King's forces before they attack the colony. The recapture of Boston wasn't too hard, was it? Now we just need to finish off any Tory troops around Boston and any of the King's troops around Providence. So how many Tory troops are left? Okay, not many. The last of the Tory forces land. A last throw of the dice for the King. Oh wait, they've surrendered. Fair enough. The King doesn't look too happy. I used to think this building was the old State House in Boston, but I'm not sure if it is. Is this just a made-up building, or is it based on another historical colonial building? Then you finally see a calculation of your score. Everything that's given you points, destroying villages actually loses you points. Yay! I'm a college. Just out of interest, this is the screen that you see if you lose the War of Independence. There is also a sequel to this game, based on Civilization 4. Now this is a tough game. Hope you enjoyed this. See you next time.